please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Welcome back. That's the SGX Nifty now. It's up 78 points, but keep in mind it was trading yesterday, and if you were to compare the futures to futures closing, we are looking at a 15-20 point gap up right now. Ashwani Gujral, Mitesh Thakkar and Prakash Gaba with us now. Good morning, gentlemen. Ashwani, how do you trade today? Because SGX Nifty is indicating a minor gap up. We had a decent rally on Monday. Today, of course, we have some news on the banks. How do you approach the trading day?
Good morning. I think on Monday you just had a one-day rally. Now today there should be follow-through, and I hear there is some negative news on bank, etc. I will buy any sort of decline that happens on banks because of that. Because the market is in an upswing, there are shorts in the system. Those shorts will cover, on whatever news that is there. So the idea is that whatever gap is there, you wait for the Nifty futures to come around 10,500, 520 thereabouts, and also on the bank Nifty wait for say 25, 550, 570, 100-point style dip, and that can be bought into. So the idea should be to buy on dip, don't get in on the gap up, but wait for the market to give you that small decline and then get in. I believe the upper end of the ranges, which is around 10,600, 620 or 26, 100, 150, that is likely to come in.
Okay. Mitesh, good morning to you. What is your Nifty Bank trade?
Good morning, Lata. So I've been kind of not trading the index until we come to the edges of the range. My sense is that both these indices after decline are trying to settle down, though I think eventually we might see the lows being retested again. So the idea should be to possibly trade short around the 10,600, 650 zone, or try and go long around the 10,400 zones. Similarly on the bank Nifty, 26,000 would be a shorting opportunity, 25,400 would be a buying opportunity, and this trade might be valid for the next 2-3 sessions. My sense is that you will get choppiness and buying and selling opportunities both over the next 3 to 4 trading days.
Okay, well, Prakash Gaba is also here with us in the studio. Prakash, what's the view on the index itself?
So far, good morning to you, Sonia. Well, Nifty so far looks up. If he gap, like you said, could see a gap up. If that happens, perhaps then I'll wait for a reaction to buy, because there's a strong support in the vicinity of 10,540 zones or so. That is Monday's close. Those are the zones of support. So if you get a dip, buying opportunity is there. Target on the upside is 10,620 zones.
Okay, let's discuss individual stocks then. Ashwani, what would be on your list?
See, given that financials did well on Monday, a few NBFCs would not hurt. So Bajaj Finserv is a buy with a stop of 5,200, target of 5,350. Jaikumar Infra is a buy with a stop of 356, target of 378. Chola Finance is a buy with a stop of 1350, target of 1410. This incidentally is hit fresh intermediate highs yesterday. India Bulls Housing is a buy with a stop of 1300, target of 1350, and Radico Khaitan is a buy with a stop of 348, target of 365.
Well, actually, I'm going to point out that fundamentally also the dice is loaded in favor of NBFCs today. One, because the inflation number came in lower than December numbers, and also because PSU bank competition, which was expected, is now going to be more muted. So today, definitely NBFCs should get the positive of that move. Mitesh, what would you trade?
In fact, I also have two NBFCs. Bajaj Finserv, at least in the short term, and has given some kind of a breakout candlestick pattern, so should see higher levels. 5420 being the target, I would recommend buying this one with a stop at 5170. In the morning, you flagged off Britannia with good numbers. I think the chart pattern also is quite positive. It's managed to get past an important pivot. So buy with a stop at 47.44, look for 48.25 as the target. And Chola Finance made a fresh all-time high, a swing breakout. That's a buy with a stop at 13.44 for targets of 14.25. Two sell calls. One is conditional, that's BPCL. The chart structure turned negative, and if it breaks 462, expect more supply. So sell below that level, keep a stop at 471. Look for targets of 445, and MRPL is close to very important resistance levels. So that's a sell. Keep a stop at 122.5 and look for targets of around 110.
Okay, and Prakash, what about you? All buy calls today?
Yes, all buy calls, Sonia. I'll start with IGL. Indira Gas certainly looking good. Good base formation here. Typically looks like it can climb to levels closer to 311 zones. Stop below 298 on IGL should be fine. Mahanagar Gas is again looking good to me. I've seen a good momentum pull. This momentum pull should continue. Target on the upside is 1065. Stop below 1010. PI Industries looking good. Looks like a good base formation. This up move looks like it can climb to levels closer to around 885 zones. Stop below 825. And finally, Welspun Industries looks good. Seen a good momentum for last couple of days. Can see a climb to around 75 zones plus. Stop below 70.
Fair point. Well, we've been speaking a great deal about Britannia. Let's get the management. Britannia has posted a good performance in the third quarter. Some of it, of course, was in line with expectations. The highlight was the volume growth, 13% compared to expectations of 9 to 11%. Varun Berry, Managing Director, joins us now. Good morning, Varun. Thank you very much for joining us. Well, you posted double-digit volume growth. How much of this would you attribute to just the favourable base, and therefore, can you sustain double-digit volume growth?
First things first, I think there was a base effect because, if you think about it, the month of November last year, there was demonetization. So there was a base effect, but you've got to remember that we still grew in that quarter. We were one of the very few companies that grew in that demonetization quarter. We grew by about 6%. So it's not like we are coming out of a very, very low base. Yes, it was lower than usual. But we did, so that did give us a little bit of a benefit. But I think clearly it seems that the volume growths only happen when there is a category which is coming back to its own. And for the last 5 years, we've seen muted single-digit, low single-digit kind of growth for the category. We still don't have the category growth numbers. But I would think that the category growth should be back close to at least a 9-10% kind of a growth.
So therefore, will this double-digit volume growth sustain?
Well, your guess is as good as mine, but I would think that certainly there is going to be a better category growth as we go forward.
Okay.
Varun, good morning. So, what was the input cost inflation this quarter, and what are you working with for the future?
So, last quarter was really low. So, it was almost zero. The inflation last quarter was almost zero. I do think that there will be some inflation as we get into the next financial year. My estimate would be anywhere from 3 to 3.5%. Unless there is, a spike on some of the commodities because of the minimum support price, which gets increased. But I don't think that will happen because, obviously, the government has two things to handle. One is obviously the farmers' income, but the other thing is obviously inflation as well. So both go hand in hand. I would estimate inflation to be, our commodity inflation to be about 3.5% for next year.
Okay. So can you give us an outlook on what happens with margins? Do they look like they'll improve from here? Because you've also increased your thrust on premium products, right, with your new launches?
We are hoping. The hope is always that margins should improve as we go forward. There are lots of variables out there, but if you look at our performance in the last 5 years, we've been consistent quarter on quarter, and we hope to keep it that way.
And how is the growth in the Hindi belt states where you are not traditionally strong?
Yeah, so that I would say is a delight because UP was one state where the growth was slightly muted. While we were growing faster than the market, but they were not up to my expectations. And this is a quarter where we've really ramped up our UP growths to almost close to 20%. And that's a very large state. So I feel very good about it. The growths in other states have continued. In fact, Rajasthan continues to be top of the charts with over 25% kind of growth. MP is okay, is mid-teens kind of growth, and Gujarat continues close to about 20% growth. So it's moving in the right direction. All of those states are moving in the right direction. The only difference, which is a positive difference, is UP, which has ramped up pretty well.
Okay, I want to talk about some of your new products, especially, the joint venture you signed with Chipita of Greece to produce and sell ready-to-eat croissants in India. When do you see the tailwinds of some of these new launches kick in? What's the kind of timeline we're looking at?
This year, the coming financial year, is going to be a very, very busy year for us. We've got almost about 50 new products coming in. They almost start from the word go. In fact, they'll start from this month itself. So, one, we have to make sure that we execute properly. The big ones, as you said, the Chipita product is going to be launched in October. So hopefully, we've already started to put up the line in Ranjangaon near Pune. We are hoping that October will be a full-fledged launch. So that is going to be a new category launch, which we are very excited about. The dairy project, we've started to collect milk, and we are doing the experimentation that's required. But dairy is a long gestation period. Once we start to put up our plant and we start to look at new technologies, etc., it's going to be some time before we are in the market. So I would say not the coming financial year, but the next financial year is when the dairy products are going to be in the market. But I feel very excited about all that we have in the pipeline, and I do think that in the next couple of years we'll be able to change the face of the company.
I don't know what croissants will do to your numbers, but I am awaiting them, Varun. Okay, you're spending on advertising?
Yeah, so last quarter was a lot more than what we usually spend. Previous to that, the first 2 quarters of the year, because of the GST implementation, etc., there were lots of constraints. So we'd underpegged our spends, and we then brought it back with the quarter which was looking good in terms of overall demand, etc. And that's given us the desired results in terms of volume growth. So last quarter, if you look at it, we were almost 40% more than the previous year's same quarter. So we will continue to spend. We will make sure that especially the new product launches are supported with the right kind of media and the right vehicle of media as well.
Okay, all the best. Looks like a very exciting launch pipeline for you guys. 50 new products by March 2020. So that's the word coming in from Britannia. Thanks for that. Take a short break. We'll analyze all these numbers with Mr. SP Tulsian of sptulsian.com.
There are a bunch of results to discuss. We have Mr. SP Tulsian of sptulsian.com joining us. Good morning, sir. Well, first up, Britannia, you think that the numbers are exciting enough for people to buy even at these levels?
No, I don't think so, because if you take a QOQ call, then that's a right way of analyzing that. Yes, if I say YOY, then yes, the things are looking good. But on a QOQ, the things are looking exactly flattish, and I don't think that it deserves a buy at the current level.
Okay, Mr. Tulsian, good morning. What about some of the other numbers that came through, numbers like Godfrey Phillips, Lumax Autotech, Minda Industries? We had some good showings this quarter. Anything you liked from the numbers over the last few days?
See, if you see in the last couple of days, I think the numbers are seen to be largely better. If I first take a quickly, maybe few disappointments. Disappointments have been seen more from Mangalam Cement, Bank of India, Corporation Bank, Prabhat Dairy, Welspun India, Elegant Marble, and Revati Equipments. And if I say that the numbers which are seen to look like flattish kind of things are Singer, Talbros Engineering, BF Utilities, Aarti Drugs, Gabriel, DCM Shriram Industries, Sterling Tools, and Kiri Industries. Now, coming specifically on the good numbers, what I liked, actually the very good numbers are seen from maybe like Asahi Songwon Colors, Fiam Industries, TIL, Ingersoll Rand, Quantum Paper, Multibase, which is again a multinational company, Auto Excel, TIL, and since you have raised on the Lumex Auto and Minda Industries also has posted good numbers with EPS of about 6.9 against YOY 5.5. And if you really see the 9 months performance, because it is very much essential to not to see the Q3 numbers in isolation, one must see the 9 months number also. And Minda Industries have posted 9 months EPS of 21, close to 21 against 14 for the previous year. Garware Wallrope, Bharat Seats, 20 Micron, ZF Steering, they have all posted very good numbers. Coming specifically on sugar, Triveni Engineering has shown a kind of flattish kind of performance, but again that has to largely to do with inventory valuations have made at 3250 on the inventory of about 21 lakh of sugar bags. But I am keeping the positive view. Same thing has happened with DCM Shriram Industries in the sugar space. But if you see in the UP in last 3 days, the sugar prices have risen by 4 rupees per kg, maybe because of that reverse mechanism having stipulated. So that is seen positive. Coming on the exceptionally good numbers is Voltem Transformer, Dilip Buildcon, Panasonic Energy and Kolte Patil. These are in fact, one can say that the exceptionally very good numbers. For coming specifically on JK Tyre, I don't think that I am disappointed with the numbers, because if you really see on a sequential basis, for India EBIT 165 crore against 57 crore, and for a commodity company where the rubber prices have been showing a lot of volatility, you need to see the sequential number. It is only the Mexico, which has disappointed against 73 crore EBIT of in Q2. They have posted a loss of about 16 crore EBIT in this quarter. So that has been disappointment, but the Indian operations have really seemed to be quite good. Sunflag Iron, TNPL, those numbers have seen, having pleased to a great extent. Maybe Honda Power, Lumex Autotech, again, since you have asked, they have posted good numbers, because if you see on a YOY basis, PAT of about 15 crore against sub 6 crore, so that has been a good number. So by and large, I would say that overall the numbers have cheered in this last couple of days rather than flattish or disappointment which you have seen.
Oh yes, Kolte Patil in particular look quite good. Mr. Tulsian, good morning. Thoughts on how to approach PSU banks today selectively? Would you want to buy if there is a dip?
See, firstly, let me comment on this move. In fact, I would say that this is an excellent move. In fact, if I would say that if you see in the last 4 years or 5 years having this all resolution on part of RBI, that was showing that there was no will. The SDR, CDR, 525, S4A, JLF, they were all seemed to be mockery and giving more leeway to all these lenders. And for the first time, in fact, take the case of SDR. SDR having invoked in case of Monet's path, which says that within 18 months after exercising the SDR, you have to find out a buyer, and the bankers have not been able to find out the buyers, and eventually Monet's path has to go to the IBC. So if you have all these, theoretical resolutions in the past, which has really delayed this whole process, I would say that the bankers and Reserve Bank both were equally responsible for the no heart or no will to take this for resolutions. But now, actually, I am keeping extremely positive move on this move having initiated, where because probably lenders and borrowers both have realized that there is no point in litigating at IBC levels because of the change in the circumstances, or because of the willingness of the existing promoters to continue. Once the matter goes to IBC, they are all barred, the existing promoters. So they have been given a window of 6 months from 1st March to 1st September or maybe 31st August to resolve the issues and get the things put the things on order. Just to give an example, maybe like Jaiswal, Nico, Videocon Industries, I don't think that the promoters are really willing to go to the NCLT. They are trying their tooth to nail. So this is an excellent move. If you want to see the other side, you can always say that the NPAs will rise, but I don't think that NPA rise is a worry. It is more of the resolution that is very important, and that is going to happen, because even this IBC process have seen trying to fetch the best price, which is in fact the right move. Take the case of all 3 or 4 steel stocks. In spite of the last date having seen in many of the cases, they have all got extended, and smartly, in fact, I am very happy that that NCLT in one of the matter have deducted the days which have got lost from that 180 days. So that is also seen to be quite positive. So I would say that the new norms having initiated by RBI may increase the NPA. I'm not worried for that, but the resolution of the debt is more important. The NPAs are more important. Whether that happens at 50% haircut or 60%, I don't mind. But ultimately, the stress assets must get resolved, and this is an excellent move, and I think this will yield results. So taking that into consideration, maybe in the near term, if you keep an eye, probably I will not be very, very comfortable buying PSU banks. But yes, this is an excellent move for overall NPA resolution for the banks, which will eventually turn out to be positive in the medium term of the next 5 to 6 months.
Oh yes, fair point. It is definitely one of the healthiest things that's happened to the banking sector. Well, let's, Sultan, we're coming back to you. Invite Amit Gupta as well. Good morning, Amit. What are the stocks you are trading in the F&O space?
Yeah, let us see. Actually, there are one category of stocks. If you look at the last 1 or 2 years scenario, they have already corrected by 40%, and now they have recovered. And that is why the leverage in the stocks is not very high. They have not been a consistent performer so far, but now we have seen signs of a clear short covering trend, because there were positional shorts which are now getting closed, and that gives a relative resilience to these stocks even in the current volatile scenario. So one of them is Cholamandalam Finance. If you look at in 2015, it had corrected from almost 1250 to 800 levels, so that was almost 40% of fall, and now it has been holding about 1250 levels. And in the last 4 or 5 series, we have seen that the open interest has reduced by almost 25%. So that's a very good sign that finally these shorts are getting closed. And I saw the recent quarterly results also were quite encouraging, and that also support the stock price move. So we are targeting beyond 1400 in this stock in the coming sessions. So another one in the same category is Polo Tire. Now after the budget, when there was import duty hike in the radial tires, we saw that Apollo and JK, these kind of stocks that started moving up. In Apollo, particularly from 250 to 150, there was a very significant corrections in the last 2 years, and now it has been holding above 250 levels. So this is the same example like that of Cholamandalam Finance, where these positional shorts were very high. It had couple of QIPs before in this, but in the last 2 or 3 months, and then there was another accumulation of shorts. But now even in the falling market, we are seeing that almost 35% within a month of short closure in Polo Tire is seen. So I think it is going to make a new life high what we have seen in JK Tire. That is not in F&O, but in Apollo I think the flows are very clearly evident, and that is why it can move towards 298 or 300 kind of levels in the coming days. So these two stocks which are coming out of a long consolidation and after seeing a very significant correction, I think they can be a good buy and to be there as a part of the portfolio.
All right, Amit, thanks a lot for those trading ideas. Cholamandalam, by the way, is a bit of a consensus buy, and it's a stock which made a lifetime high, of course, on Monday. Didn't fall much in the correction preceding that, so and there's been some buying as well, so that one a bit of a consensus buy right now. We'll take a break, and of course, up next we'll track pre-opening.